computer. Now that we're subscribing, I have the option to record on the cloud or on the computer.
Very exciting technical situations that Tom is in charge of all of that.
Thanks for saddling me with. I've always prayed that when the kids turn 12, they take over IT. I've complained about this in the past. Nobody takes over shit. I've been in charge of everything.
No, you're actually right. I'm Melinda Mckinsey.
And I'm Tom Wise. Thanks for stopping by and unpacking some shit with us. We tackle topics, typically not. We try to steer away from volatile news items, but we will occasionally if it must be discussed. But typically, just little crazy ideas that we are want to uncover, and let's peel back the onion a little bit.
Absolutely. And we want to talk about things that maybe people are thinking about or want to talk about themselves, because Tom and I will talk about anything.
Couple of chatty Cathys just going at it. I see people listening to this. It's just like they're like if you're at an airport and you're listening to some guy's side of the conversation. Here's a chance to listen to both sides of the conversation, right?
Yeah.
And why exactly she is crazy. See, did you hear that? She is crazy.
She is. Well, I'm very curious to hear what your topics are today.
Oh, I'm going to violate my first rule. I say all news, Fitbit, Pornhub / Republicans, and crazy repeat.
Okay. All right. And I have for today, this Monday, January the 4th, I have your grandparents' bedroom. What? I have National Hangover Day. American movies.
Ooh.
Pandemic dating and life hacks.
I love them all.
Yeah. Okay. We must talk about Pornhub and the Republicans immediately. I'm dying to know it.
Okay. Here's the deal. You got, and the idea of this particular topic is that you're looking at a very small percentage of whatever, and they seem to be representing more people than they really do. So my contention is 3% of the Republicans are just batshit crazy, maybe more than that, but let's call it. But the vocal crazy, we're not talking about 78% of the Republican Party doesn't believe that I can't believe that 78% of people don't think that Joe Biden is going to become the president in 16 days or whatever it is. It would be ridiculous.
Right.
So I'm saying you're looking at the small percentage of batshit crazy Republicans, just like Pornhub. Women aren't like that. That's a very small percentage of women that are crazy like that, sexually active like that. It's because you can imagine being an alien walking onto the planet and say, oh, we're the women like that. Well, they're not. It's a very small percentage, thankfully, just like hopefully it's a very small percentage of Republicans that are absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I hope so. I did read that they said there are 9 Republicans in the Senate that are going to defy this electoral college vote. 12 of them. I find a little stunning. Now, are these 12, I want your personal opinion, are these 12 doing it because they truly believe there's voter fraud, or are they doing it out of fear?
It's grandstanding because they're afraid of the mob turning against them when it's their time to get elected.
Yeah, isn't that a shame?
That's horrific. I mean, Ted Cruz is the biggest panderer that's ever hit the planet. I said his name. The podcast is going to blow up.
But I think it's okay. I think it's important to say the names because I think we have to deal with it.
Of course. It's ridiculous. Did you listen to that? Look at this. I prefaced this with don't do politics. Did you listen to that 1-hour phone call?
I didn't listen to the whole thing. Of course, I listened to bits and pieces. And of course, it was horrific and exactly what I thought it would be. And, this is not his first rodeo. This is how he talks to people all the time. So what are people going to do about it? That's the thing. This is not new. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's a shame that people have so much respect for the office that they won't tell Trump to, you know what, you're insane. Yeah. I'm running the election here in Georgia. We thank you for your concern. We'll let you know if there's any changes. Please don't call again. Yeah. Right? Wouldn't that be nice if the guy said that?
Yeah.
Don't bother us. We're a sovereign state. We've held our own election. We counted the votes multiple times, and it is what it is. You know what you could have done? You could have done two things if you wanted to win this election, Mr. President. A, get more people to come out and vote. And then B, not kill 11,000 people with the coronavirus by ignoring it. And I'm going to guess that a lot of those 11,000 that were dead would have been voting for you, and their loved ones might have been voting for you, and they may have turned their minds against you since their loved ones are now dead.
Yeah, I saw someone post, and it's probably been out for a little bit. They said, what we're watching now is a 75-year-old man who's never been told no.
Yeah. Oh, and he knows he's going to jail. I mean, wouldn't you do everything possible if you knew that you're going to be up for charges in about 30 days?
I wonder.
He doesn't care if he burns the place down.
Well, yeah, I wonder how much of it he acknowledges, because he seems to be so delusional about everything else.
I think he's pulling a George Costanza. It's not lying if you think it's the truth.
Yes.
I think he really thinks he's won. In his head, he's gone mad. He's the batshit, whatever.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we've learned some stuff from this. We'll see what happens, right? I mean, there's always the light to the dark. And so let's just see what comes from it. It's been shocking. And I would love to have a news day without his name in it. It'd be nice. Absolutely.
Didn't you hear there was like CBS, they said, had a news show and no one ever mentioned Trump. It was like 2 days before Christmas or something. It was like, oh, isn't that refreshing? I had a guy on my Facebook remind me that we have $100 bet on who's the president come January 20th. First of all, here's a guy that probably hasn't seen a $100 bill in his life.
And it's $1,000 bet.
That was another guy. I bet this other guy $100 first. And then the other bet is $1,000 bet. And I could get that check today or tomorrow. We're going to hold each other's checks.
Good.
So, but the guy's reminding me it's a $100 bet.
The guy that actually thinks that
there's there's two guys. I've made two separate bets. One, I made a $100 bet about 10 days ago that I kind of forgot about, because the guy I'm betting with, I'm not diminishing anybody's position, but he was a very low-level employee at HSN, super religious. And I was very friendly towards me, but then he's like, I said, really, I don't think that's true. Oh, really? I bet you. Gladly. What do you want to bet? $100. Okay.
I actually do feel badly for the super religious people that have been caught up and manipulated and don't see what's happening. It's heartbreaking.
Right, because there's a lot of good people, and having faith and praying, it's all good. It's not how I conduct my life, but there's peace in that.
They're being taken advantage of, and it's awful because they're preying on their fear.
Because you got the same type of guys that were, the Bible thumping Baptists that love to pack the church and get a lot of money. That's the same group. It's the same group. Now we just have Trump who's just usurped that group, right? Yeah.
I mean, do you think those people that are feeling that way, I would be curious to get their very honest opinions about what happened when he tear gassed the crowd so he could stand in front of that church and hold the Bible. I want to know.
No, they all think that it was fine.
Really? It was okay to tear gas people?
There's even that's the scary part about it. Even in their deepest, darkest, they don't even think that there was nothing wrong.
Well, yeah, I that's a problem. It's a problem.
Maybe I'm a little shy of my 3%. Maybe that the percentage should be up a little bit.
I think for me personally, I have learned there are more people out there that are easily manipulated than what I recognized, and more people than when I realized, because I love a good debate, but I started to learn that my version of a debate is different than other people's version, when their debate is they shall debate and no one shall debate back with them.
Right. And that's just, they're dropping their opinions as facts, and like, all right, then we're done.
It's not a debate, man.
Yeah, it's not a debate. You're not, yeah. And then there's usually it ends with name calling.
Yeah. And it's too bad, because definitely, like when you're talking about how you're making these bets with people, my thought in my head when you were saying that was, you're a better human than I have, because I have gotten rid of a lot of people on my social media that have gone kind of crazy for the conspiracy theories, because as far as I'm concerned, my Facebook is a place of joy and happiness. Right. I'm not going to be berated.
I get you. And I've dumped many folks over the last week. You know what has to happen? I mean, legally it has to happen.
What?
So those 11 or 12 senators, they claim that they're not going to accept the vote, right?
lame.
So then,
Yeah.
so then they have to go to a separate room and they've got to debate for 2 hours, and then they're going to come back and there's a vote. So they may do this with 7 states or whatever they're going to be, right?
Yes.
But in order for those states to flip, to cancel and deny the Electoral College, both the House and the Senate have to agree that we're flipping those electoral votes.
Correct.
And that's never going to happen.
No.
It can't happen. It's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. So, but again, the people that are caught up in the conspiracy
right.
theory,
they're
not listening to what the rules or boundaries are, right?
They're just out of their minds. And they think that violence is going to be the last ditch effort of this whole thing.
Well, because unfortunately the Trumpster has promoted martial law and violence, and he's told people to actually participate in that. So that's unfortunate too. Have we ever had a president? I don't know about a long time ago, but I don't ever remember reading about a president that was so out of his mind that he encouraged people to go out there and accost.
It's insane. It's insane.
Right? I did hear, or I read that at Pelosi's house, they put a pig head on her property, and I think they put a sign on her door, and then on McConnell's house, they put, "Where's my money?" So people are...
These are old girlfriends and old boyfriends. They've determined that for both of them, in both situations. That was an old boyfriend, and that was an old girlfriend.
So,
has nothing to do with the election or the money or anything. No, has nothing to do with the stimulus checks or anything. The old girlfriends, old boyfriends.
Listen, when it all comes down to it, it's always about an ex. It's always about an ex, guys. Exes are...
Be careful who you're dating.
Be so careful. And if it goes bad, then you have to find a way for them to disappear.
Yeah.
So that's my tip for the day.
Call Hillary Clinton. She seems to be an expert at making people disappear.
You can't convince me otherwise. I know she's had people murdered. I don't doubt it. I mean, I know you do, because it's one of those dark things. It's so dark that people will not discuss it, because at a certain point, it's just like a mafia guy. No one's going to badmouth the mafia guy because he has so much power. They just let him go. And how
come the Republicans feel free to badmouth Hillary then?
Because don't you believe that the Republicans and Democrats really are in cahoots for most of this? They're in cahoots together.
Yeah, it's like CNN and Fox. They are opposite, but they're just drawing people to buy soap.
Yeah, and it's the game for the masses, for us to fight, right? Because if you
absolutely
draw a hard line.
Yeah, it's Florida versus Georgia.
So
football game. Yeah. So
don't mess with Hillary, man. You'll disappear. I probably shouldn't be saying this.
She'll kill a bitch.
If she listens to our podcast, I'm in a lot of trouble. So,
all right, give me one of your topics. Let's not talk about any more of that.
All right. Let's talk about, do you want to choose or do you want me to choose?
You choose one.
Okay, I thought this was totally funny. You know how we live in America, we're used to our American ways. So I found something interesting where they talk about things that we do in American movies that people in other countries have no concept of. Why? Is this just an American thing? Why did this happen in the movie? Okay, are you ready for this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the number one thing is that people that are not Americans ask, in movies, it seems that children or peers call parents Mr. or Mrs. instead of by their first name. So in a film, if I were to meet my in-laws, I'd say, "Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, it's so nice to meet you." In other countries, they say we always call people by their first name. And is that an American thing where they just call them by their last names?
You mean, so wait a minute. So you're talking to your in-laws and you're saying Mr. and Mrs.? Are you introducing?
Any adult that an American meets, why do we call them Mr. and Mrs.? Why don't we just call them by their first name? In movies, think about it. We do that, and I think it came from when we were very formal in the 50s. Everybody was a Mr. or a Mrs. I think we're more casual now, but still, if I were to meet someone, that was someone's parent, I don't know that I would go, "Hey, Bob." I think I go,
right.
"Hey,
yeah, absolutely. Because I've met Rob Nolan's dad and his mom, and it's always Mr. Nolan, and unless he says, "Oh, call me Dick."
Right.
Why? Right. You've done something wrong?
Okay, I'll call you that. But I didn't recognize that's something you will only see in American film. That
Really?
in countries, everybody calls everybody by the first name. They don't
Huh.
do that. So I thought that was interesting. Here's also a very American thing. One of the questions was, is it true in America, because they show this in American films so much, that someone will go to the refrigerator and chug milk directly out of the milk carton?
Usually it's the man, and usually he gets scolded.
That's funny. It is. I think it is a very American thing to show that in a film. Oh, we're just going to drink it. In real life, if you have a family living with you, you're not going to drink fully out of the milk carton, right?
You know, I also thought that peeing in the pool was just a myth.
Oh.
I never peed in a pool. I was like, what's all this nonsense about peeing in the pool? Who pees in a pool? Just get out and go pee.
Everybody. Everybody.
So you're drinking, if you think that nobody drinks out of the milk carton?
But apparently showing it in a film is very American. It's a very American thing. And then here's another American thing I didn't realize. When they show American movies where kids are in school, buying lunches at school is an American thing. They said in other countries, you don't buy lunches like that. Your parents send stuff with you. You don't stand in a line and buy a school lunch.
Like prison.
It's an American thing. I didn't know that.
Really? I don't know. It's interesting.
No, I didn't know that. Okay. Another thing they talk about in American films is it true that Americans have memorized the last 4 digits of their social security number? Is that something everybody does? Yeah, I think it is.
Absolutely. You better know your last 4 digits.
Right? But apparently other countries do something different. That's not like a thing. But here in the United States, like, you better know those numbers. Those are critical for very
It's interesting because you know them to your heart, but then if somebody said, oh no, if you question those numbers for some reason, how would you find out what the real numbers are? I mean, they're only in my head. I don't have a card anymore.
Yeah, who carries around a card? No, you're absolutely right about that. I thought that was funny. Here's another funny thing. Do Americans really care that much about Halloween? Halloween is a big deal in American films.
I think it's even getting bigger now. More people, Halloween's becoming rivals with anything.
I don't know why we care so much about Halloween, except for it's the fun aspect. I don't think there's really any deep meaning other than we like the fun, right?
I mean, in Mexico, it's like something of the dead. I mean, it's kind of a religious and kind of a tribute, and
it has a meaning. But why do Americans care about it so much in films? It's always a big deal. People decorate their house fully, and they have the parties and all in American films. Here's a funny one: not saying goodbye on the phone. Why is it in American films when someone's talking to someone on the phone, they hang up and they don't say goodbye? Have you noticed that? I noticed that the other day. It's so funny. When I read this, I was watching an old movie, and well, when I say old, they had cell phones, and the guy was talking. He's like, okay, well, I'll see you later. And he just put the phone down, and I thought, well, in real life, I'd be very offended by that. But I'm going to start watching now, because they said in American films, a lot of times people don't say goodbye. They say what they have to say, and then they hang up.
Huh. Maybe the edit just assumes that.
Yeah, maybe so. Another thing about American films is people from other countries want to know, is it true in America that Americans don't take their shoes off when they enter a home? They think that that's very dirty and disgusting. And in American films, people do leave their shoes on.
I think in real life, too.
Really?
Unless instructed.
I will say this, and you're not going to like this.
I don't like most of the things you say.
I know, but I'm just warning the viewing audience, the listening audience.
I might blow up.
Because I was raised in Hawaii.
Oh.
Everybody takes their shoes off at the door. Everybody.
Okay. What if you're having a Christmas party at your house?
Well,
ouch. I stumped the band.
Well, I will say this. Don't you remember coming to my house? I had all those hardwood floors. I would ask people if they would.
I take my shoes. I prefer to walk around without shoes on in the house. But I'm saying, if you have a party at your house, are you going to have everybody?
I remember going to a party to a house in New Jersey. I barely knew these people. I was invited by somebody else. And I wasn't warned ahead of time that I would
take your bra off at the door.
That I had to take my shoes off. And it was a cold winter day. And I remember thinking, oh, that does make sense, but I wasn't mentally prepared. So I felt weird being around a crowd of people who had a nice dress on and weird socks walking around. You know what I mean? I felt weird about it, but I should have thought about it, because if it's winter, who wants someone's wet, muddy shoes going around somebody's house?
Nobody.
But in American films, nobody takes their shoes off. This is a funny one, Tom. Why in American films do they make tying a tie like it's a quirky little skill? Why isn't that an everyday skill? They're always like, oh, let me stand behind you. Let me do. They always make a big deal out of tying ties.
It's kind of a rite of passage. And if you missed it as a boy, that you need someone to help you. I gotta, it's kind of like a little scene.
Yeah. But I guess in other countries, you just tie your damn tie, man. It's not like a quirky little thing. Tie it.
Oh, well, it's an interesting, because it's funny because it's like, I mean, in a movie, I don't know, I can't speak for Europeans. When that particular scene happens in a movie, usually it's a kind of a fish out of water. This old bum hasn't had a tie on in long, or the kid's 9, and here's a way that the dad can help his boy and put his tie on, or his grandmother's putting aside. So there's kind of an emotional aspect to that scene. Yeah.
No, there is, but it was funny because when they said, why do they make it a quirky skill? Like, oh, a little weirdo knows how to tie a tie. I thought that was funny. This is funny. Tell me what you think about this. Why in American films do they show that you walk out of the building with a box with all of your stuff? Is that true? Does that really happen that you walk with a box full of your things?
I think it happens.
I don't know that I've seen it in a million films, right? They get the box, put their photos, their plants, and they walk out with a box. Where's the box?
I think it happens. I think you get fired and some security guy shows up with a box.
I don't know, man. I thought that was funny because I've seen it over and over again.
I've never been fired with a box.
Have you been fired?
Well, Home Shopping fired me.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But you didn't have to take a box with you because all your stuff was at home.
Yeah, I might have had a cubby hole full of stuff, makeup and, stuff like that. But I don't think I had I certainly didn't have a desk.
The first time I got fired, I was in high school and I was working. Tell me if you remember this store. I was working at the mall at a store called Just Pants. Do you remember Just Pants?
It sounds vaguely familiar.
It was quite popular in the 70s. And it's what you think it is. It's just pants, mostly jeans, but it's all just pants. And it was kind of my first job other than babysitting and working at a pizza place where you got dressed up, right? And I remember I cried, and it was because I got hired for the Christmas holidays. And after Christmas was over, they didn't really have anything for me. And they called me into the office, and she was very, direct. And I just burst into tears. And she was like, why are you crying? We told you we were hiring you for Christmas help. Like, I felt so rejected by getting fired. But yeah, so I didn't leave with a box either. But that was my first job.
Well, you leave with a box if you've got a table and if you've got a desk and a chair.
Right? Okay, so here's a funny thing. Tell me if you've noticed this in American films. When something happens and it's a scene with a high school or a middle school, when something goes down, they're able to text everybody and the whole school gets the text at the same time. Have you noticed that? Because they say, I
can't say that I've seen that in a movie. I mean, I don't watch as many movies as you do.
Yeah, well, pay attention because it is one of those scandals.
You pay attention. You educate yourself.
Do some research. Educate yourself so you know what this is.
I mean, I've seen everybody getting a text that somebody's missing or there's a car.
Yeah.
With an old person going missing.
It's like the whole school knows. Okay, the final one I think is super funny.
Is this 100? Is this number 100?
That's number 14, sir. Is it true at American parties that everybody always has those red cups?
Absolutely, Solo cup. That's like that's an institution, the Solo cup, right?
Why though? And how? And why isn't it other places? How did it become an American thing?
So nobody else uses a Solo cup?
Well, that's what they're saying, that in European countries, they wonder, why does everybody have a red cup at all these parties?
I mean, they're ubiquitous here, right?
I mean, I think it's the law. I think we all are supposed to have one. And that's
it's a red Solo cup. What a business that is. Is there any competition?
I'm going to say we need to look into that.
I wonder if it's a trademark or a patent on that item. Can anybody else make an exact same, shape? Because it's distinctive.
Yeah, it's very distinctive, but I think it's funny that it's become known as an American thing in films because it is true. Have you ever seen a party scene where people don't have the red cup?
No. Right. No, no type of movie I don't want to see.
So those are things that Americans do in movies.
Well, I feel like I need a tennis racket with this outfit. Just let you know how cold it is in Florida. This is my going to the bathroom t-shirt.
Yes.
Then it's like, oh, I need to have a shirt that was in the bathroom after I
Okay.
shaved my neck. And then this is, oh my God, it's 53 outside. Grab this thing on the way out. Sweatshirts. It's all about layering, hon.
Listen, it's 43 degrees. I'm going to go for a walk. When it's in the 40s, I get excited because I know I can go outside without any kind of chill factor.
What? It's insane. Yeah. If it's 43 here, it's 4 in the morning.
Well, it's January. For it to be sunny and 43, it feels like a glorious day.
Oh no! If I was in Chicago, 43 and sunny, you take this every single day. The absolute versus 22 and gray.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So what's your next topic?
I've got. I want to do a reprise from our last week.
Okay.
I had a second thought,
okay.
And I want to ask you as a woman, not as a man or an old person. Okay.
I'll try. Let me put on my girl pants.
So I had an interesting thought.
Yes.
About the topic about craziest sex. Okay.
Okay.
And here's my thought on the subject.
Yes.
Let's say, usually people don't talk about crazy sex with somebody they're dating because it's just not done, right? What's the point? But let's say you do have that conversation because you learn not to have a bunch of conversations about your exes that you've had sex with, because there's nowhere to go with it, right?
Right.
But let's say by happenstance you were spinning a bottle or you're at some sort of party and then this thing blurted out, right?
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
Now, if I'm okay, I guess let's make it you and me.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
look at you.
and then not that would be exciting, but let's just for the dynamic. I want to analyze the dynamic.
Okay.
I hear you at a party said, "Oh yeah, craziest sex I ever had was I straddled a guy while he was driving." Okay. Now that's in my bank.
Yes.
She did that. So at some point in the future, hopefully the near future, we'll be reproducing that scene with me in the driver's seat.
Right.
And a man would be like on laser focus on that little bit of information to reproduce it to kind of like, I'm not going to say, mark his territory, but he would want to have that adventure with you. Now, let me ask you a question. When a woman hears a man has a crazy experience, is she in any way interested in repeating that experience with him, trying to mark her territory?
Very good question. Speaking for myself personally.
Yeah. So you're on a date.
Yeah.
And the guy says, "Oh yeah, it was crazy. We were in the woods and I got a Hummer."
For me personally, the way I handle stuff like that.
Not as an old man. Please answer this question as a woman.
I'm trying to answer it as someone with a vagina.
Okay.
How I would handle it is I wouldn't feel competitive about it. I would try to create my own exciting sex thing. So I wouldn't feel like, you know what I mean? I don't want to do the trick you did with somebody else. I want to create my own new trick.
I think that's a good idea. I think also that a guy would be like, if she said, "Well, let's not do that. I did that with Billy. Let's you and I make a different memory." It's like, "Oh yeah, we'd be down for that."
Yeah.
But some other thing has to be, there's a chamber that needs to be, a box that needs to be checked in this equation.
I love this conversation. This is why I have found in my dating relationships, men don't want to hear about your past sexual experiences because then they do feel very competitive about it. And here's the thing. Let's say, we talked about I had sex while we were driving. Then after you and I have sex while you're driving, then there's going to be, wow, did it last longer? Is this?
Yeah, we know that this is pardon the pun, but this is a bad road to go down.
Yeah.
Because, can we just start with a clean slate? But I'm just saying in these instances, if she's wild, why isn't she wild now with me? Or,
Yes. Yeah, because what if you try to do it and then it doesn't work out? Then it's a nightmare because how come you could do it with this guy and you couldn't do it with me? And, that's why I don't like to know. I always say like, hey, whatever you did in the past has nothing to do with me. So I don't want to know sexual details because it messes me up. And
right.
I'll never try to replicate that because I feel like, like you said, you cannot win in that scenario.
No, now you may have the generic conversation about things that you're interested in. That's certainly you've done with other people in the past, but let's not name names or, circle the calendar. This is, I celebrate this day every year.
So really then,
I'm saying, so what's the answer to the question? Do you have a desire then to have some sort of crazy event when you hear your date has had some crazy events in the past?
My desire would be to create our own crazy event. I don't want to try to replicate or do.
I like that, but it's now you've triggered a little empty box in your mind. Oh, well, he's up for this craziness. Maybe we should do a crazy thing too. Whereas you might not have had that empty box in your head at the point before you heard what he had to say.
Oh, you mean because whatever he said, I wasn't aware he liked it. So then I was like, oh, if he likes that.
Yeah. I'm just saying it might just activate a little.
Well, here's what I'm getting from this conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
With my next boyfriend, what I need to tell him is that I had a lover that would go down on me for an hour, because then he's going to try to recreate.
This is my beautiful women are the best lovers line.
I still say that does not work.
I agree with you, but I'm saying, but we're in that part of the ballpark where we're trying to drop a little information to make sex more exciting.
Yeah.
And a little bit of not a challenge, but let's both elevate our games.
Yeah, I think anytime you bring up an ex with your sex life, it's not going to really probably work in your favor.
I know.
And I've recognized with my past relationships that men get very weird. It's like they want to behave as if, even though they know you've had sex, they don't want to know.
Right. In the same way, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I mean,
I dated a woman one time, and I'm not a gigolo or prolific or whatever, but I'm 60 years old. I've been in a couple of different relationships, right?
Yeah.
And just with just casual conversation, it was obvious that I had been in a few more relationships than she had been.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she looked at me like, ugh, how many miles you got left in that thing? How many times around is that thing still working, or is it broken, or is it diseased, or what's going on? I could see that was in her mind a little bit. It's like, so those conversations really don't work out well.
We don't. I mean, I can't think of anybody that wants to be with someone that they think has been around a lot, right?
Right.
I mean, nobody wants that.
But I mean, my 7 relationships versus her 2 seemed like I'm 3 times as prolific as as hers.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've learned men really like it if you behave as if you have had few relationships. They really think that that's very exciting, and somehow it lends to them as a bonus. It's a bonus.
Of course. Absolutely. All right, let's do another topic.
Okay, another topic. Let's talk about life hacks. You want to talk about life hacks?
Please.
Okay, I love life hacks. I think they're super funny too. Here's a good one. If you like wine, but you like your wine cold, what's a good way to keep your wine cold? What do you think?
I mean, outside the obvious, refrigerator. I mean,
well, yes, but haven't you ever dated a woman where you took wine from the refrigerator, you poured it in the glass, and she still wanted it to be more chilled than that? Has she ever requested ice cubes?
I said, why didn't you go to the 7-Eleven and stay there?
Well,
nobody's ever. No, I guess I have had, usually not with red wine, but with a white wine. Somebody might ask for an ice cube or something. Yes. How might I solve that?
What you're going to do is you're going to take that same wine and make ice cubes out of that wine.
What?
Then when she wants her wine chilled, you get a wine cube and you put it in.
Wow, that'll shut that up.
And then maybe you can play the sex games.
Does it affect the taste of the wine? It seems that it would be kind of an inexpensive wine. I mean, let me just say, I don't want to be a troublemaker, all right? But very often you open the wine and then you have it at that moment. I'm going to open the wine, make 9 ice cubes, and then put the cork back in and then wait.
Or you know what? Or buy 2 bottles. Just take 1 bottle of wine and just make ice cubes out of it. Then
Oh, well, there you go.
Already have it. Then when she's ready, I can't tell you how many times my girlfriends and I have sat down and we've chatted and we're all drinking wine and we're like, I know it's probably not the classiest thing, but I want some ice because I want it to be colder. I love the idea of already having wine cubes.
Yeah, you classy broads with ice in your wine.
Right?
Nothing says class like that.
I'm going to do that. I'm making wine cubes today.
You are not.
I wasn't
denied.
sure I was doing today, but now I know. Wine cubes.
Nothing to do.
Okay. Do you know a life hack? What's an easy way to clean your keyboard?
I would get my vacuum cleaner with that little fuzzy thing on it, and I'd clean it like that.
That's a good way. Well, another life hack is you take a Post-it note and you take the sticky side and you tap it down and it'll pick up all the debris. A Post-it note.
And 9 minutes later, oof.
Dude, don't be smashing my life hacks.
You know, let's just grade these life hacks.
Go ahead.
Start with a little stronger. You can slip in the wine cubes. You can slip in the Post-it note number 19 and 23, but you can't come out of the box with these two.
It's January 2021 and Tom is already a Scrooge.
I'm getting a lot of emails saying you guys agree on everything too much. Can you throw a little conflict?
I'm living in 2022 and I'm only in 2021. That's what it is. Smart one. If you're looking to buy a home, make sure you use your phone and check the cell service in all the rooms of your home.
I like that. Wouldn't it be interesting? I'd love to. If I was looking to buy a home, I said, wouldn't it be nice to rent it for the weekend and see what kind of activity goes on, or rent it on a Tuesday to see, right? But you could never do that, but that would be an interesting thing.
Because I wouldn't want to rent my house out if I was trying to sell it, but check your cell service in all the rooms of the home. I thought that was pretty brilliant. I've never considered that, and I've bought a few homes in my lifetime.
But here's the bottom line: is that going to break the deal?
I know some people, someone in Landsbrook, and that they have terrible cell service, and they're just miserable about it.
Yeah, I know. My cell team, Landsbrook, is where I come from, and cell service is shit. You think that? I mean, that's a high-end, very nice neighborhood. You think they get a tower in there that covers everybody. You're driving down the street, you drop off in the middle of Landsbrook. You drive down the street, boom, done. It's like, wow. I mean, there's got to be 50,000 people living there in that area.
Fixed that yet? You would think they would have fixed that, right?
Yeah.
The thing I don't like about Landsbrook, and tell me if this is true. Is it true? Landsbrook is a neighborhood in Florida.
North Palm Harbor.
Mm-hmm. And it's nice. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Very pretty, lovely sidewalks. There's ponds. There's a park. It's very nice. Is it true that all the separate names in Landsbrook, the higher up in the alphabet you go, the more expensive the homes are? Because each subsection has a name. I've always heard that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't buy that.
It's not true?
No, Myrtle Point is probably the most expensive.
Okay.
Aylesford was one of the original ones. I'm in Gulfside, which is the lowest of all the rent.
Oh, really?
Yes. It was Gulfside was the lowest entry point to get into Landsbrook. I mean, as far as where they're graded A, B, C, and D.
Right.
Yeah. We're not gated. President's Landing's gated. You got 2 gated communities there. So I would defy that analysis. Beresford is nicer. Allen, whatever the hell, Aylesford is nicer. So you definitely have nicer areas, nicer than Gulfside.
And Gulf is GOLF, golf. You can see the golf course.
GOLF, Gulfside.
Yeah, because then there are also people that live in Landsbrook that can see the water. And so what's that called? Is that like?
That's called money, big money.
Yeah, it's called big money.
I don't think anybody actually, who gives a shit about this? But I was talking to my ex the other day. We were talking about moving into the neighborhood. The kids were there for Christmas. We're just kind of reminiscing a little bit. And we were going to buy in a different subdivision. I think it was like Linwood or whatever it is. Okay. And nobody has access to the water because it's all on Lake Tarpon, but nobody has access to Lake Tarpon in all of Landsbrook, right? Oh, and so this particular lot that we're looking at, it was marsh all the way out to the lake. So there was nobody behind you. And the next stop was the lake, but you didn't own that property. You didn't have access to that property. And it was like a $20,000-$30,000 difference between Gulfside and Linz. So we took the less expensive, build a bit of a bigger house, blah, blah, blah. Well, finds out 3 years after this lot sells, these guys are building illegal docks all the way to the lake. And then they got them grandfathered in, blah, blah, blah. So the value of that property went right through the roof. You can have a boat on the lake in Landsberg. It was like, wow, I wish I would have thought of that.
But how do you do it backwards? I thought they were very careful with codes and stuff like that, that you can't just,
you get enough guy, you throw enough cash into something, because especially a dock, you're just putting in pylons. You could do this, circuitously, because no one's watching, no one's behind your property. Anyway, I don't know how they did it, but they did it, and I wish I did it.
There's always a way, man. If you have money, there's always a way. Just like that story I told you about with what's his name with Amazon. He had like $16,000 of parking tickets in his neighborhood because he parked wherever he wanted. He didn't care.
Yeah.
16 grand, man. It doesn't bother me. I don't want to park. I won't park.
I think Jerry Seinfeld was quoted saying, yeah, the red zone is like my parking zone. I get to park in the red zone because I don't care if I get $100 ticket. I guess the fear is you're getting towed.
Yes.
But if you just get the ticket, it's like, oh, I just pulled up. This is my valet spot. It's $100. I don't care.
It's really a different way of thinking, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
It's a very different way of thinking. All right. Well, you're going to hate all.
Till the ambulance is coming for your mom, and you can't park because you're in the red zone.
Well, that's when you get towed.
Yeah.
Do you wear those kind of rubber flip-flops that the middle part always pulls out? Do you know what I mean?
I used to. I do not.
Well, here's a little hack. If you like to wear those to the beach or whatever, those throwaway flip-flops. Remember the old-timey bread holders, the little square shape? They say if you put it on the bottom of the flip-flop, it holds it.
Oh.
It holds it into place, and so the flip-flop won't pop out.
That's nice. That's good. That's a good tip.
It's kind of a cute.
Finally, we get to the good part of these tips.
I don't know what you think is good or bad. Have you ever opened?
I told you clearly what I think is good and bad. I've told you.
Well, but I have to listen to know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So.
This is the part of the show you educate yourself.
A lot of
it's a little cool. I'm getting a little aggressive.
You're really on a roll about educating me today.
I'm sorry. You know what? You're bringing all this great information. I'm an asshole.
No, I think it's hilarious. Educate yourself has become really one of the phrases from last year. Honestly, it was used really a lot from people that were not educated. And that is the irony of go educate yourself. Those big rolls of clear tape, and once you open them, how hard they are because it all sticks together. It says, once you use that tape, take a paper clip, and before you close it down, to stick the paper clip there. So it's always
I like that. I usually fold tape on itself to stop that.
That's really smart.
I do that too. It's always one of those jobs. The job is 4 seconds, but it's 3 minutes to get that tape.
Yeah. And then at a certain point, you don't care anymore. Like you hate the tape.
About life.
So have you seen those hangers that can be collapsible? Like they have several hangers in a row so you can hang several things.
Yes.
Okay, if you want to make your own, you take a regular hanger, then you take the tab from a soda bottle, put the tab over the hanger, and you can attach another hanger.
You're violating someone's patent when you do that, by the way. So please don't do it.
Love that. Take a soda tab and use that on the hanger to add another hanger. Is that Tom has picked something up from anybody that's listening on iTunes. It looks like it's possibly it's a hanger. Okay. Why do you have a hanger that actually collapses into itself? What's the benefit of that?
This is, some guy wanted me to sell this on Home Shopping, and it was like a hanger that you take if you were traveling.
Okay.
So you can hang something in the back of the seat or something. It's very creative, but the uses are limited.
But yeah, I can't imagine that everybody's dying to have one of those.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what I think is a good one. Do you get sunburns easily, Tom?
I do.
So here's a cute little hack. There's two hacks I want to share. One hack is actually from my grandmother that I used on my family because my kids had very fair skin. Did you know that if you have a bad sunburn, you can take the egg whites, beat the egg whites, and it makes a paste. And when you put it on the burn, it takes the burn out immediately.
Oh, really? That's nice. That's nice to know. That's happened.
A nice hack. Another hack is you take aloe vera gel and you put it in ice cube trays, keep it in the freezer. So when your kids get sunburned, you take them out, and aloe vera is now in an ice cube form. So you can put it on their skin and also cool it off at the same time.
Wow. Is this next to the wine?
I mean, be careful not to mix that up. Don't put the aloe vera into your ladies' glass.
White wine and aloe vera.
On your kids. I guess it just depends on if you're educated or not.
Wow. That was a bad callback on my behalf. I apologize.
So, so anyway, so those are some life hacks I thought were very
I love it. That's fun.
Yeah. All right. What's your next one?
Look what I got for Christmas.
You're doing the Fitbit.
I am.
I have a Fitbit, and what do you think about it?
I love it. First of all, I'm amazed that I do more steps than I think I do during the day, just walking around here getting stuff done. I mean, I've got 2,700 steps done already today.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
10,000 being the goal. And, you know, I'm always, you know, me with the numbers, right? So, and then I was a little bit surprised with my sleep, because this thing can track sleep. Have you used this to track your sleep?
Yes.
And I've always said, I get 8 hours. I'm an 8-hour man. I go to bed at, you know, 1 a.m. I get up at 9. I go to bed at 11. I get up at 6 or whatever it is, 8, 7. You do the math. So this tracks your sleep, because now part of my deal was I'd get up and then sometimes get up and then go back to sleep, which is the lovely part about working out of the house. But I can't seem to get past 6 hours. It goes to 6 and it says, my gosh, you know, I was up a lot of that time. And it's very interesting. It's interesting information to see how they say you slept versus how you feel you slept.
Yes, it absolutely is. When I first got my Fitbit, I was traveling a lot. So I was on planes a lot, and I'd be sitting on the plane and it would say, it's time to stand up and stretch. You've been sitting for a while. I was like, it actually got on my nerves, because I was like,
really?
And quit bossing me around.
I haven't had that experience yet. I tried to set the alarm. I couldn't do it, but all the kids got Fitbits for Christmas. Actually, the girls bought me one, and Tina bought everybody else one.
Well, that's very good. You know, we got mother is 81. We got her an Apple Watch because it tracks if she would fall. It's set up for an alert. So if she would fall, it would call somebody. And so she was very excited about that. So
that's nice.
We were asking her, do you want everything on the watch? You know, do you want to be able to see Facebook? Like, is it too much? So we've been kind of tinkering with, you know, to see, but she's been worried lately. She's very healthy and spry, but people in her community have fallen, and she's very worried about that. And this is a resolution for that. Well, if you just wear this little watch, if you need to call anybody, it's set up to call automatically if you fall. You don't even have to worry about it. So I thought that was super cool.
So it senses a fall, or you still have to activate a button?
It senses the fall, and
it
first talks to you and asks you if you're okay. And if you don't respond, you can either set it to call 911 or Carol or whatever. And so we have it set up to call. So if she falls and she doesn't answer,
am I on the rotation at all?
Oh yeah, you're number 2. So
number 2
after
Carol or after you?
Surprise! If you get a phone call from Grandma. So what's your goal with the Fitbit then? What do you have goals you're trying to reach?
No, I think it keeps me, I think I want to keep 10,000. It's easy to walk around here, but when I go to Patrick's in a couple of weeks, you know, making sure I get enough exercise in. And, but yeah, I think that's nice to keep a little bit of a track. I'm going to try to do some New Year's resolutions. I talked to my daughter. I said, well, let's try to exchange crazy facts every week. And then I said, I'm going to try to read a book a month.
Are you really? Well, guess what? My friend wrote a book. I brought it on the show today.
Well, that's not going to be it. I'll tell you that right now.
It's called View from the Laundry Chute. I love it when friends, like when we had your friend on, Darcy, when she wrote her book. This is from my friend Debbie Klein, and it is available. She lives in Florida.
I thought we weren't pitching books anymore.
We're pitching books all the time. View from the Laundry Chute. So I really want to promote that. What kind of books do you think you want to read, Tom?
Well, I bought the Woody Allen biography, and I bought the Jerry Seinfeld book. I didn't know what the Jerry Seinfeld book was about until I bought it, and it's pretty much he's written down all of his act for analysis in a timeline that the jokes he started with as a kid, and then as he progressed.
I love that.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch, look at the joke structure stuff.
Yeah, especially for what you do with your stand-up. But why would you want to read a book from a pedophile? I'm speaking about Woody Allen.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I know, but you stared at me and there was dead air and I'm just going to fill the space. Yeah. Do you, what are you hoping to learn from Mr. Allen?
I had the realization the other day. I said, here's the deal. Not for nothing.
Yeah.
And maybe not 100%, but 95% of the time, I will accept the work and not examine the worker.
Oh.
I don't want to think about how Jackson Brown beats his wife or beat his girlfriend on an airline. I don't want to think about how Billy Joel cheated on his blah, blah, blah. I just want to enjoy the work. I just want to enjoy something that they've created. I'm not going to analyze and only allow myself to enjoy things of perfect people because it would be down to Jesus.
Oh, I don't think it should be about perfect people, but I guess I draw the line at pedophilia.
I mean, are you talking about his relationship with his wife?
Yeah, I read a lot when all this stuff went.
She was in her 20s. She wasn't 14.
Well, there's a lot involved there, how that relationship progressed. And remember, he raised her as his child. I mean, yeah.
No.
I mean, listen, everybody's going to do what they're going to do. I'm not going to tell you who to read, but I'm curious, what is it from Woody Allen you would like to learn?
He's super prolific. He's super smart. I mean, he's, kind of like fell into stand-up comedy. That was not his goal. He was writing jokes. He goes, the one thing I bring to this planet is my sense of humor. So, and he's got things he likes to say. He's had some amazing movies. I think that
when he dies, what do you think people will remember him for?
Well, they remember the headlines, but also look at the people that have decided to work with him. I mean, Alec Baldwin works with him, and people work with him for nothing. I mean, they get paid $5,000 to do a film. So
yeah,
clearly people are attracted to his type of, thinking and feel very comfortable working with him. Scarlett Johansson has done multiple films, Jude Law. I mean, it's just a one hit parade. There's nobody that's going to say no to Woody Allen if he decides to call you up to do a role.
Yeah.
So, but the news likes to bang this. Was it does it seem like a healthy situation? No. Does it seem like things were odd? No. But you know what? That's inside and outside of a relationship. You're judging someone from extreme. Who knows what his role was? It would be horrific if you're a girl's dad and then you turn it into your lover. That's horrific.
Yeah.
I don't think that happened, but that's horrific.
Well, I'll beg to differ, but I'll let that go. So you like to read biographies? You like to read about?
Yeah, more about somebody, some historical event or actual people. I read, nonfiction.
Are you gonna start delving into the reverse harem?
That's next. I mean,
you learned about that. That's a whole. If you go into the romantic, storytelling, reverse harem is the thing that is very popular. So I would recommend that. I'll have to recommend some books. I love to read. I'm super excited that you're going to start reading books. That's really great.
See what happens. See if I can get into a habit of it.
I love it. Well, so I wrote down, every month has a lot of like, oh, it's national this day, national that day. So January has a lot of days. So I want to highlight a couple of them. And then I'm going to have you pick some days. So I think we all know Inauguration Day is coming up, right? We've talked a lot about it. It's kind of a big deal. Every 4 years, Inauguration Day is on the 20th. So that's it. New Year's Day, that's a January thing. What else is January known for? Do you know? What else?
The planet Jupiter.
I don't even know what you're saying.
My mom's birthday is the 13th.
Oh, January 13th. Well, of course it's my birthday, and yes, I'm excited about it. It's January 20th as 20th. Well. But there's a lot of days in January that have, who decides that this is that kind of a day? Does it have to go through legislation? Because there's a lot of days. Pick a day and I'll tell you what happens on that day. It's crazy.
Let's do today. It's January 4th.
Okay. So January 4th is, this is such a weird thing. National Spaghetti Day and Trivia Day.
Really?
January 4th.
Hence, I think you petition your local congressman and they have these, they do it in a bulk signing session. They tag it on some bill and it becomes what it is.
January the 9th, there's something called Play God Day. What is that? January 9th.
I hope we have a show that day.
Play God Day. We need to look that up and see what we need to do about it. Yesterday, okay, so today's the 4th. Was it? Oh, yesterday was Humiliation Day. What?
Every day's Humiliation Day.
Yeah. So anyway, so tomorrow, National Bird Day. National Bird Day is tomorrow.
Huh. Well,
and then also tomorrow I'm doing the TSB on QVC. So I'm very excited. So if anybody watches QVC,
that's marvelous.
I'll start at midnight. And then I've got a 7 a.m., a 9 a.m., a 10 a.m., noon, 3, 6, 9, 10, and 11.
Wow. How many shows is that?
A lot. They keep changing because I'm having several hits in several hours. I only have 2 1-hour shows. I typically have 3 or 4. So we'll see if they change that.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be exhausting. Good luck with that.
Super excited. I love doing the TSB. I love working at QVC, and it's so different now, right? Because we're at home. So
yeah, no, it's wonderful. You can stagger to the bathroom, stagger to your bedroom, take a nap, and then come back. Yeah,
and then they said that for the 7 a.m. show, they asked us. I love this. They said for the 7 a.m. show, don't dress up and don't really glam up because we're doing a whole new program at QVC about first thing in the morning so people can relate to us. I'm going to wear my pajamas and not wear my false eyelashes. So I'm very excited. I'm very excited about it.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations. That's why I had a bit of good news myself. I'm always a little slow with getting my billings out.
Yes.
And I did it all on the 31st of January.
Yes.
And as I sat down for the podcast, I'm like, oh, people hate getting bills on this, and then, how long is it going to take? And are they going to deny this or whatever, oh, you only did 7 shows, you didn't do 6, whatever the hell it is. So just as I was sitting down, I saw that the person that responds, there's one person I send the billing and a copy of the second person.
Yeah.
And as I was sitting down, I saw that email come in. Oh yeah, all these are good. Just pay them.
Okay. Happy 2021.
Daddy's getting a little cash.
What you gonna do with it all? Where are you gonna go?
Who knows? It's just survival. Anyway, but that's nice. It's nice to get the whole transaction, because if in our line of business, you've been stiffed by more than one vendor over the years.
Yes.
And you've got that line in the sand where I can't go over X amount of dollars, but are you willing to walk away from $5,000? This guy owes me $5,000 and he can't seem to find his checkbook, and I got more shows coming up. This can turn into $10,000, turn into 15. This is the way you're making a living, and you got a guy that doesn't want to send you a check, and then he wants to negotiate something at the end. Or I had one time where I had a vendor, me, Mr. Slow Pay, Mr. I'm not invoicing.
Yeah.
They owed, I was like $14,000 in, but I wasn't nervous about it because they had already paid in the past. Then Home Shopping decides, oh, we're not using you as a guest anymore, or anybody of you outdoor guys as a guest. We're replacing you all with a special guest from Home and Garden TV.
Oh, wow.
So I submitted those invoices and they could never find their checkbook.
Oh, no. That's so bad.
It was crazy. And then years later, the guy, computer crashes later, 3 computers later, the guy that, was responsible for all this stuff, that I didn't invoice directly. I think I copied him on something. He says, hey, we want to go out and shoot back on your property. We want to shoot another B-roll. I go, no. I said, you guys owe me 14. What? That doesn't sound like us. I go, well, either I'm nuts or you're nuts, or your bookkeeping guy's nuts. So.
And they never paid you? Oh.
So, but that's the deal. At some point, you got to walk away, because you can't. Then, especially in that second situation, I had no leverage at all. At least if you got shows on the calendar, they write that check grudgingly because they would like for the shows for you to continue to work there. But there's a number that at some point it's like, hey, if I don't get a check, I can't work anymore for you.
Yeah, working as a 1099 when you work for yourself, it's always a challenge because you do have to fight for all of your dollars, and you have to justify them too, because at a certain point you work a lot even though they make a lot.
Yeah, they don't want to see the big check.
No, they really don't. It's easier for them to give you smaller checks.
Right. So that was my mistake. I gave them like 4 the invoices you haven't paid, the second invoice you haven't paid, and here's 3 in November, December, because we're closing out. Boom, boom, boom.
They don't like that. You got to keep them small. They like to feel like they're getting by with something, even though they know they need your talent. They do know that, but at a certain point, they don't want to acknowledge what it costs.
It's all math. It's like, okay, let's say we saved 18 grand by not paying this guy or making it hard, and then we get a new person. And will the buyer come after us, or how long can I skate with a new person? It's like all the formula. It's like, this is just a lot easier to write a few checks once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, happy January. You got paid. That's very exciting. And you're selling the ranch. We've been talking a lot about that, but now you got to wait a couple more weeks.
A little more delay, but it's all good.
All good. That's what happens in closings.
It's a gorgeous, glorious day today. And if I stay here the entire month, I'd be fine with that.
That's great. That's great. So do we have a really solid tip of the day that we can close out with?
Tip of the day. You know what? It's all about your attitude, right?
It really is.
I think about Tony Robbins. I was, if you're having a whatever day, it's like, put yourself in a position or in a posture, put a big smile on your face. Try to smile, stand up straight, and think you're the king in your head, and then try to be depressed. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Also, Jerry Seinfeld said, if you exercise and listen to good music, it's impossible to be depressed.
That makes a lot of sense. And I want to do a shout out to Melissa. She had a wonderful post on Facebook about all of that, where she said, hey, here are some things to help you feel better. And it was like, take a shower.
Yes, I saw the same thing. And it's very interesting because when you're in that low mode, and I thank God I haven't not been there a lot, but I relate at the point of exercise. Every time I exercise, I go, why did I ever stop? I'm energized. I feel the blood flowing. I feel pumped up. It's like, why do you not do it? So it's hard to take that first step out of the dark hole to go sign up or take that long walk or do 20 push-ups. It's hard to get started, but you always give yourself that forgiveness and then just move on. I don't care what you ate yesterday or what you didn't do yesterday. Go ahead, stretch, touch your toes, stretch it out, stand erect.
Yeah. Oh.
And then, in your mind, try to be positive. Because
every day is a new opportunity. I've been doing a lot of YouTube yoga in the morning.
There you go.
So it's free. And for my entertainment during the day, because I'm not a hardcore exerciser, I have a hula hoop. So I've been doing the hula hoop.
There you go.
And dancing to Hawaiian videos.
There you go. Yeah. There it is. Let's give it a positive vibe to everybody who's watching and pass it on to somebody else.
Absolutely. And I'm Melinda McKinsey.
And I'm still Tom Wise.
And thank you for unpacking some shit with us today.
Have a great day. See you on Wednesday.